Lisa had only dozed off for a bit on the plane, but when she woke up, her daughter, who'd boarded with her, was nowhere to be found. At first, Lisa didn't realize how serious the situation was. She figured her daughter had just wandered off somewhere to play. But after combing through the entire plane and still finding nothing, Lisa started to panic. Out of options, she went to the flight attendants for help. They made an announcement over the PA system, but weirdly, there was no response, not for a long time. Even the passengers sitting around Lisa said they hadn't noticed her bringing a daughter on board.
I'm looking for my daughter. Have you seen her by any chance? Walking by or...
I don't think so.
Lisa was completely thrown. She had no idea what was going on, but she had this creeping feeling that something deeply off was happening on this plane. She immediately demanded that the crew do a full sweep.
There's 9 closets on this plane, right? There's 4 up and there's 5 down, and nobody's checked any of them. There's 7 galleys, there's the crew quarters, there's the holds, and kids can find places like that.
As it turned out, Lisa was an aircraft designer, so she knew the layout of the plane inside and out. But searching an entire aircraft wasn't something the crew could just do on a whim. The flight attendants told her they'd need to check with the captain first and asked her to wait back in her seat. But she waited and still no word. Suddenly, Lisa noticed 2 flight attendants whispering nervously to each other. She rushed over and asked if something had happened to her daughter. The flight attendant told her,
I'm sorry, but I don't think that she's here.
What?
We don't have any record of your daughter ever having been on board.
It turned out that when the flight attendants called to verify, neither the passenger manifest nor the boarding records had any trace of her daughter. In other words, according to the records, her daughter had never gotten on the plane at all. Lisa thought it was ridiculous and pulled out her boarding pass to prove them wrong. But only her own was in her pocket. Her scalp prickled. She bolted to the overhead bin and threw it open. Her daughter's backpack was gone too.
She couldn't have reached up there by herself. She's not tall. Somebody has her.
That's quite an assumption, Miss Pratt.
Seeing that nobody believed her, Lisa charged straight toward the cockpit, determined to talk to the captain herself. But as she pounded on the cockpit door, she was suddenly grabbed from behind by an air marshal. Her behavior was seriously disturbing the other passengers. As it turned out, the guy sitting behind her the whole time, Jack, was the air marshal on this flight. With his help, Lisa finally got to see the captain. After hearing her story, even the captain found it hard to wrap his head around. He double-checked with the 2 flight attendants, but they still insisted the girl had never been on the plane. Even Jack, the air marshal who'd been sitting right behind her, said he had no memory of the girl either. Hearing all this, the captain started to think Lisa was having some kind of breakdown. He asked her if she'd been drinking before boarding or taken any medication. Lisa said she was completely sober, no alcohol. But yes, she had been taking some anti-anxiety meds. That was because her husband had died falling from a building just a few days earlier, and this flight was to bring his body back home for a burial. Hearing about her tragic situation, the captain felt genuine sympathy for her. Even though everyone else swore they'd never seen the girl, he made an exception and agreed to help look for her. He made an announcement asking all passengers to return to their seats, and then had the crew do a comprehensive sweep, even the equipment bay. The only place they didn't search was the cargo hold, since there was no way a little girl could have gotten down there, and searching it mid-flight could be dangerous. After a thorough search, there was still no sign of her daughter anywhere. Lisa started going row by row through the cabin herself, with Jack following close behind, worried she might do something rash. That's when she spotted a man who looked oddly familiar, but she couldn't place where she'd seen him before. With her daughter still missing, Lisa was getting worked up again. She demanded to personally check the 1 cargo hold they'd skipped. The captain shot her down hard, told Jack to keep an eye on her, and walked off. That's when something clicked in Lisa's mind. She tore down the cabin.
I know I've seen you before!
And confronted the man, demanding to know where he'd hidden her daughter. Lisa had just remembered seeing him peeking into her daughter's room the night before. She was convinced he'd taken her daughter and hidden her somewhere, but the man insisted he'd never even seen Lisa before. After some questioning and digging, he was cleared. With nothing left to go on, Jack had no choice but to drag Lisa away. But watching her only lead slip through her fingers, Lisa lunged at the man anyway. Jack pulled her off and warned her that if she pulled another stunt like that, he'd cuff her. Then he laid it out. If that guy had really been staying at the same hotel last night, why wouldn't he have grabbed her daughter then? Why wait until they were on a plane with nowhere to run? Clearly, her accusation didn't add up. The barrage of questions left Lisa without an answer. Just then, an announcement came over the PA, letting passengers know they were free to move about again. That meant the crew had called off the search. Furious, Lisa stormed up to the captain and demanded to know why he was wrapping things up so quickly. But what the captain told her next was almost impossible to swallow.
Come with
Where
me.
is she? Where
She's
is she?
dead, goddammit!
You found her.
The hospital where her husband had died had just sent over a fax. It said her husband had jumped from the building holding her daughter. They'd died together. Lisa couldn't accept it. She clearly remembered that when her husband fell, her daughter had been playing at the park, and she'd boarded the plane with her daughter, hadn't she? Suddenly, her head was spinning. Was she really losing it? Unable to process what she was hearing, Lisa passed out. When she finally came to, the captain had arranged for a therapist to talk her through things. The therapist explained that people who suffer severe trauma sometimes disconnect from reality and have hallucinations. Lisa calmed down and tried to accept what she was being told, but then she turned her head and saw a little heart drawn on the window. That heart had been drawn by her daughter, which meant none of this was a hallucination. Her daughter was definitely still alive, and there was something seriously shady going on here. This time, though, she didn't say a word. She just made an excuse to use the bathroom. Jack didn't refuse and walked her there. The moment Lisa stepped inside, she stripped off her shirt, wrapped it around her fist, and punched through a panel in the ceiling. Above it was the plane's equipment bay. Right then, Jack, worried something was wrong, knocked on the door. Lisa quickly poked her head down and said she'd be out in a second. Then she grabbed a wire and yanked it loose. Every oxygen mask in the cabin dropped at once. The passengers all thought it was an emergency, and the cabin descended into chaos. Lisa yanked another wire, shorting out the system, and every light went out. Using the chaos as cover, Lisa slipped out of the bathroom and made her way down to the cargo hold. She searched every corner, but there was still no sign of her daughter. Then her eyes landed on her husband's coffin. Maybe, just maybe, her daughter was hidden inside. She tore the lid off, but inside was only her husband's body. Lisa completely fell apart, collapsing beside the coffin and sobbing. That's when Jack found her. This time he didn't go easy on her. He slapped the cuffs on and told her that because of her behavior, the captain had decided to make an emergency landing at the nearest airport. But that only made Lisa more certain she was right, because if her daughter had really died with her husband, she would have brought 2 coffins on board, not 1. She begged Jack to let her keep searching once they landed, but Jack just told her she'd be arrested the second the plane touched down. As they made their way back through the cabin, passengers actually broke into applause because Lisa's antics had delayed everyone's trip back at her seat. Lisa wouldn't give up. She begged Jack,
If you let them molest me, she's gone forever. I'm begging you.
Seeing how pitiful she looked, Jack seemed to soften and agreed. He called over a flight attendant to keep an eye on Lisa while he went to talk to the captain. But instead of going to the captain, Jack walked over to her husband's coffin and pulled out a bomb. The whole thing had been Jack's setup from the start, and Lisa's daughter really was on the plane. Jack had been the one to hide her in the equipment bay. He planted the bomb on either side of the little girl's head. Then he went to the captain and handed him a bank account number. He claimed Lisa was demanding $50 million wired immediately, or they'd blow the plane out of the sky.
She has an accomplice on board. She won't say who it is, but that's who's holding the detonator.
The captain wanted to negotiate with Lisa directly, but Jack told him Lisa would only deal through him and didn't want to talk to anyone else. The captain bought it and went to make arrangements for the money. Jack headed back into the cabin where the flight attendant pulled him aside. Turns out she'd been in on it the whole time. She was the one who'd faked the manifest and the fax. But now she was getting cold feet. Jack, though, had everything planned out, down to the last detail.
She's gonna be dead 10 minutes after we land. They're gonna find her with a bullet hole.
Soon enough, the captain came back with word that the money had been transferred to the account. Jack couldn't help but smirk. His plan was more than halfway home. All he had to do now was wait for the right moment to take Lisa out, and the whole thing would go off without a hitch. He lied to Lisa and told her that once the plane landed and everyone was off, 2 police officers would come help them continue the search. And Lisa believed him. But once the plane touched down, the moment Lisa spotted the captain, she rushed over and told him to give her a few more minutes. She was going to find her daughter, and when she did, she expected an apology.
Your money has been wired, just as you asked. A G3 is waiting, just as you asked. Perhaps we can do without the pretense of the missing child now.
And Jack, seeing the whole thing about to fall apart, played it cool and started heading off the plane. But Lisa wasn't stupid. She took one look at the armed officers surrounding the plane and the way everyone was staring at her, and the whole picture came together. This was all Jack's doing. She called out to him.
You get off the plane when I say you get off the plane!
But Jack just turned around and laid it all out in her face. Everyone there believed Lisa was the hijacker. And if she dared to say a word of the truth, the first person to die would be her daughter. Then they ordered the entire crew off the plane. As Jack was closing the cabin door, Lisa seized her chance and knocked him out cold. She cuffed him to a railing, grabbed the detonator out of his pocket, and right then, the flight attendant came out. She'd been hiding on board the whole time. Tracking where the flight attendant had come from, Lisa instantly knew her daughter was in the equipment bay. Jack pulled a gun out of his sock. Lisa took off running. He fired and blew off the cuffs, then came after her. Lisa just barely managed to lock herself in the cockpit. Outside the door, Jack lost it completely and started taunting her with the full truth. They were the ones who'd killed her husband, just so they could use his coffin to smuggle the bomb onto the plane. And the fact that that Lisa was an aircraft designer made the whole bomb threat that much more believable. They'd hidden her daughter, so Lisa would tear the plane apart looking for her, creating the perfect chaos to pin the hijacking and ransom on her. The fake passenger list and the death certificate, all forged by him and the flight attendant. But while he was busy gloating, Lisa was climbing up into an overhead access tunnel inside the cockpit. She tossed a book to make a noise, faking that she was on the run. The second Jack took the bait and chased the sound, she carefully cracked the cockpit door open. She'd barely taken a few steps when the flight attendant blocked her path. The flight attendant had a weapon, but she was clearly terrified. Jack had played her too. Lisa took her down with one hit. The noise brought Jack running. Lisa bolted for the equipment bay and finally found her daughter, still unconscious. But Jack was right above her now. She could hear him closing in. Luckily, Lisa knew this part of the plane like the back of her hand. She tucked her daughter into a hiding spot, then slipped around behind Jack while his back was turned. That's when he spotted her.
What are you gonna do? You gonna blow us up?
No, just you.
Once the plane finally exploded, Lisa walked off carrying her daughter. As the smoke cleared and people saw Lisa's face and the little girl in her arms, they finally understood. She'd been right from the very beginning. After everything settled, the captain offered her a sincere apology. The crowd looked at her like she was a hero, and from that moment on, no one would ever doubt the lengths a mother would go to in order to protect her child.